in film and the essay. And in a way, it was my life raft. Me just gathering quote after quote after quote, thousands of quotations from Thucydides to Joan Didion, talking about the essay form, talking about the lure and blur of the real, of the excitement of the essayistic gesture in a variety of ways. And what happened is that at first, this course packet was this huge blue, unwieldy, back-breaking thing of thousands of quotations. And students would complain about how big it was and how many typos there were and how many repetitions that there were in it. Because it was just this huge, big grab bag of stuff that I loved. And it was my sort of, as I say, my sort of life raft. It was like, this is weird. I used to be a fiction writer. I'm making this, what felt to me like a major transition into, you might call it poetic nonfiction or literary nonfiction or lyric essay. I love this stuff to death. My colleagues don't love it to death. They're not allowing me to have a nonfiction track. And as both justification and revenge, I'm going to develop this nonfiction course that shows me, shows my students, and shows my colleagues how incredibly exciting nonfiction is, or can be. Again, not as journalism, not as scholarship, but as scintillating art. And year by year, the course packet made more sense, got more coherent. I started to eliminate the repetitions, as I say. And the big break for me was to realize I could push the quotes into rubrics or categories or chapters. So the stuff about hip hop all became the hip hop chapter, stuff about memory, about doubt, about risk, persona, reality, TV, et cetera, et cetera. And that over many years, this book became this odd compendium of my own writing, my old writing, my new writing, quotes from other people, me dramatically rewriting other people's quotes. And it was a very organic process by which I kind of stumbled into this rather legal hornet's nest where, the book has gotten all kinds of discussion, and I'll talk about that some more, but I didn't really plan to be the flag carrier for the end of copyright. The book just began as me teaching a course, loving these quotes, and as the book evolved, I really loved the quotes so much, I couldn't have said it better than they did, although I ended up rewriting them. And anyway, I thought that was sort of a fascinating background. Perhaps at this point I'll briefly read, because I've alluded to it. Basically the book, as I say, has 618 mini sections. About half of them are written by, quote, me, about half of them are either began with someone else or are the other people. I argued like crazy for the book to have no citations. I wrote memo after memo. I consulted numerous copyright attorneys. I argued and argued and argued with Random House. They finally just said, listen, you're a very clever boy, but we're a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation. There's no way in the world we're going to publish this book without citations. So you can send us as many memos as you want. You can come up with all these sort of fascinating philosophical arguments and how it all makes sense. We're not going to do it, we're just not going to do it. And so the compromise that we wound up with was, first of all, the citations in the back are very, very small. If you're over age 50, as I am, you can't even see them. I mean, good luck reading them. Second of all, a lot of the footnotes are shaggy dog stories in which I basically say, tried to find that one, couldn't. Your guess is as good as mine. Sorry. Go find it yourself. Check out Google, but knock yourself out. They're sort of lines like that. And then it's preceded by a disclaimer in which I say, this book contains hundreds of quotations that go unacknowledged in the body of the text. I'm trying to regain a freedom that writers from Montaigne to Burroughs took for granted and that we had lost. Your uncertainty about whose words you just read is not a bug, but a feature. The major focus of reality hunger is appropriation and plagiarism and what these terms mean. I can hardly treat the topic deeply without engaging in it. That would be like writing a book about lying and not being permitted to lie in it, or writing a book about destroying capitalism, but being told it can't be published because it might harm the publishing industry. However, the Random House lawyers determined that it was necessary for me to provide a complete list of citations. The list follows, except of course for any sources I couldn't find or forgot along the way. If you would like to restore this book to the form in which I intended it to be read, simply grab a sharp pair of scissors or a razor blade or box cutter and remove pages 210 through 218 by cutting along the dotted line. There's a little, it's rather faint. It's much more faint than I wanted it to be. And in the paperback, it's definitely going to be less faint, I promise you. But there is a vertical, faint dotted line that goes down the pages of the appendix. Who owns the words? Who owns the music and the rest of our culture? We do, all of us, though not all of us know it yet. Reality cannot be copyrighted. Stop. Don't read any farther. So that was our sort of relatively happy compromise in terms of how to deal with that. I think people say